that you can talk to young boys and bring them out before they get caught up like you got caught up. Look at them and say, I learned some things. I got to leave them alone because I got some other things. But I learned some things. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, don't get it twisted now because I done learned some stuff. Okay, let me go on. Watch this, y'all. Y'all stop pulling on me now. Watch this. Says, he did that which was right in the sight of the Lord. So now, everything that he learned, be it from his mother, who had to step in and show him fatherly things, whether it was from his immature father, whether it was from the servants that served him and his immature self, whatever it was, he started using that knowledge to glorify God. And he says, I've been looking at how my daddy did, and he said there's got to be a better way. Is there anybody that can look at people and the things and the situations that they've been in, and you say to yourself, it's got to be a better way? Look at somebody and say, got to be. So now as he uses this particular information to do things better, so he did that which was right in the sight of the Lord, according to all that David his father did. Notice one of the first things that he does. One of the first things that he does is accept new covering. He says, I can't be known just under the house of Ahaz, because if I'm always known under the house of Ahaz, I will never be able to get out of Ahaz's shadow. So he says, I'm from the house of David. Good God Almighty. And sometimes God is calling you to get from under that shadow and come to another. I wish I had some help in here. Oh God, I'm taking my time, man. So he goes to David, he says, according to all that David his father did. Watch this. Once he links up, now I know David is dead and gone, but once he links up, I know David ain't around no more, but once he links up, you do know that you can hook up with dead people, can't you? You know, Paul ain't around no more, but me and Paul got hooked up. Peter ain't around no more, but you know, me and Peter got hooked up. James ain't around no more, but you know, me and James got hooked up. John ain't around no more, but you do realize that me and John got hooked up. Oh, good God. And so he says, I gotta get hooked up with somebody else. So he gets hooked up with David. Look at somebody and say the DAV. He gets hooked up with David. Watch this now, because after he gets hooked up, he begins to operate on a new level that Judah had never seen before. He goes in and he begins to remove the high pieces. These are things that his daddy had set up. The high pieces. It honored other gods and false idols. He says, began to move the high pieces, the stuff that was dedicated to Baal and Ashtaroth. He began to remove it and say, this stuff can't compete with my God. And there are some things in your house that you need to remove. Go on and take your Virgo and set it, what is this, Pisces and all them signs down. Take that stuff down. That's idolatry, let me tell you. Take that stuff down. Go on in your house and begin to take some stuff that you used to do in the world, and you got it sitting in your house as a memorial to what you used to do. Yeah. bottle, and it was tea in it. That's what it was. And he boom, said it right there. And I grew up looking at that doggone thing. I can't wait till I get young enough. I'm gonna drink some of this stuff for real. Go in and remove the stuff. That's high places. Let me move on now. He said he removed the high places. Then he break the images. You know that the reason the devil gives us images is so that we can get our eyes off focus of the image of God. Because we were made after his likeness and in his image. And if he can get us off focus of what God looks like and begins to give us a new image, then he can begin to paint that image in our mind until we start looking like God's image and we look like the image that's in front of us. I wish I had some help in here. You ever looked in a mirror and didn't see the image that was casting itself? I will never look in the mirror and see my friend Reverend Horton. I will always look in the mirror and see Reginald Harris Sr. Good God Almighty. Don't you realize that God says when you look in the mirror, I want you to see my image? No, God, y'all ain't helping me get here. Look at somebody and say, I need a new image. Watch this now. You cut down the groves. The groves are the places that set the images. Are y'all with me? The groves were the altars that were built. Look at somebody and say the groves. And you know we built altars to set images in our life. Yeah, we have. We built an altar strictly for fornication because that was the thing that we worshiped. We built an altar strictly just for women because that's the thing that we worshiped. We built an altar strictly for our house because that's the thing that we love the most. And I wish I had somebody in here that didn't mind going into themselves and pulling down some altars. Wait a minute now, there is something else because he also says that I gotta not